Hey, I need money. What's up? It's a cultural detective here investigating your favorite movies, and today I'm going to be doing a quick movie review on the new David Fincher movie, The Killer. Okay, so David Fincher, legendary American director, he's been directing many movies, and a lot of them have turned up to be classics and turned up to be amazing films. Of course, we have Seven, Zodiac, The Social Network, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Gone Girl, and that other movie. David Fincher has been a director who is being held in high regards. Now, David Fincher has finally returned with a new film, The Killer, after 2020's Mank, where he suddenly decided to do this early Hollywood 1920s period drama that isn't really well received, quite possibly my least favorite Fincher film so far. But even so, it's still a really good film. It's still really well made with really good performances. I still really like the style. The cinematography is amazing, and it's still an interesting film overall, I have to say. But Fincher has finally returned to a gritty thriller with The Killer, and everyone's having really high hopes. And lo and behold, a lot of people were disappointed. A lot of people were sort of disappointed that The Killer is not the same intricate, entertaining, full of twists and turns kind of thriller that people are used to. So essentially, The Killer follows Michael Fassbender's character, whose real name we do not really know. We just know him as The Killer. And he was about to, he's an assassin. He's about to kill someone. He misses, and he has to cover that up. And now the client who hired him through a bunch of connections had to clean up the mess and had to dispose of him, so he needs to protect himself. And that's basically the whole movie. And first of all, this movie's not entertaining at all. It's not. It's pretty slow paced for a Fincher film. Instead of seeing car chases and explosions, we really see how boring it actually is to be an assassin, waiting at a location for hours and hours and hours, doing research, just doing stuff with tech, and that's basically being an assassin in a nutshell. And Michael Fassbender's character is unrelatable, unlikable, cold, distant. We never really root for him or anything. I never really rooted for him. If he lives or dies, it doesn't really affect me emotionally at all. But that's actually kind of the point of the movie. This movie is actually a deconstruction of an assassin thriller film and not just your regular assassin thriller film. Think Le Samouraï by Jean-Pierre Melville. And I actually haven't seen Le Samouraï. Part of me thinks that maybe I should, but then also apparently The Killer is also not like Le Samouraï at all, because it still pretends to be an exciting movie. It still has the moving cameras and the very quick editing, and it still pretends to be very riveting and exciting, even though Michael Fassbender, for most of the time, is driving from place to place, is ordering Starbucks coffee. He's ordering something on Amazon. And it's actually really cool how David Fincher shows all these products, and it makes me think it's product placement, but it really isn't. Like, again, Starbucks and Amazon and Postmates and all these cars that he's driving. But for some reason, this makes this film have a very like clean commercial feel to it, but in a good way. In a way, it shows you how plain being an assassin is. I mean, you drink Starbucks. You probably have drank Starbucks before. You know Amazon. You have access to Amazon. So does this killer. This killer isn't some crazy underground secret spy or anything. He's just like one of us, and I think Fincher sort of highlights that really well. And another thing is Fincher sort of makes fun of himself in this movie. He's known for making movie is very clean and precise. In this movie, it's even cleaner, even preciser. It feels like a car commercial. Again, I've said that. I'm gonna say it again. It feels like a car commercial. And usually I say that in a negative way, but this time I mean it in sort of a positive way. He really, really embraces that style of everything's clean. Even the lens flare is like perfect. And there's no, there's nothing. The foreground, the background, the colors, everything look perfect for some reason, maybe too perfect, but that's kind of the point. Even the word art, the opening sequence is pretty cool. We get these word art. It's like, this is like what happens when you buy a new computer and it shows like the menu and everything's fancy and clean. It sort of looks like that. And again, it just goes to show the Fincher's leaning into that style. There's one fight scene in Florida that is quite riveting and intense, and I really like that, but literally everything else in the movie, especially the climax scene, is very plain and dull. And throughout the entire film, the killer basically recites mantras like, don't have empathy. Empathy is a weakness. Stick to your plan. Anticipate, don't improvise. And these mantras are very silly. They're very cheesy, they're very silly, but I think that is also intentional because it makes the character more funny, I guess. In a way, this movie makes fun of the killer, thus the very blunt title of the movie. Like, if this movie is actually a very serious thriller, it wouldn't call itself The Killer. But yeah, it's not entertaining of a movie. It's not that entertaining. But in concept is really interesting. And I just think this is a very weird movie that I have to think about more. But for now, I think a movie like this sort of makes me want to give it a strong 7 to a light 8 out of 10. So have you watched David Fincher's The Killer? Comments below, let me know. Subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching.